Welcome to the fifth and final episode of the Ten Commandments. When we're going to cover the 10th commandment about coveting, and we'll learn how it ties back into the entire 10 commandments. It makes it all make sense.
Being very connected and very close.
The different subjects we covered last week when we went really fast and really deep through commandments 6 through 9. And I understand that what we've done with this course up till now has been really, it's either really very revolutionary or it's quite misleading. Okay, one or the other. Because beforehand we had the 10 Commandments. It was, as I said in the very first session, we said that the 10 Commandments are on the synagogue walls. They're a symbol that everybody recognizes, and yet as a set of 10 important statements about life, about the universe, about our human world, they're kind of lost. Right? That's what we said at the beginning. And I put forth a hypothesis which said that maybe these 10 commandments aren't simply mitzvot, aren't simply legal statements, ancient legal statements of questionable immediacy, questionable relevance for our age, but really it's 10 big things. And that was the hypothesis I put out to you. Now, what I didn't really say is that such a statement is actually kind of revolutionary. That is to say, there haven't been an awful lot of attempts, at least not in the last, say, 50 years, 100 years, to try, at least from a traditional Jewish perspective, to try to get behind the meaning of the 10 Commandments as 10 big, important statements. And if I succeed, if I'm right, even if I'm only half right, even if I'm right that it's 10 big statements and the other half, which is what the statements are, maybe I'm wrong about that, even if I'm only right about the first half, it's a big deal. Okay, it's a big deal for all of us. It opens a discussion that has to be had. Which is why this last 10th commandment makes me so nervous. Because the 10th commandment is not at all, obviously, doesn't fit very well into this idea of these 10 big statements. But I will go out on a limb and call this class Session 5, The Source of Evil in Our World. Into the world by canceling the self, and I claim no, in the Hebraic tradition, in the ancient Israelite tradition, the self is something that needs to be big and strong so that you can expand, and that every one of these other commandments, these other great statements were about that expansion, how it works, about love and about property, okay, and about community. So I want to share with you something I came across about this verse. Rabbi Moshe Shapira, one of the great Orthodox rabbis of the last century, wrote this about the verse. Very few people feel their own feelings, think their own thoughts, love what they themselves love, distance what they themselves distance. Most people do not own themselves. In one matter, they fulfill the obligations of one person, and in another matter, the obligations of a different person. They do one thing because it appears correct in the eyes of one person, and withhold from doing another thing so as not to anger a different person. They think one way because someone said something, and they love another thing because yet another person said something else. Essentially, the self of every person is a great assembly of other people, a public domain, a breached city. The only thing missing is he. Okay? I'm not making this stuff up. Okay? This is something that ties very, very deeply into the depths of our tradition. It's a reading of the biblical text, but it has an awful lot of echoes throughout the rabbinic tradition as well. A reader, please, with verve.